Now, let me go why people really do psychic training, okay? Now, a lot of people say they want to do it because they want to be spiritual. I have never met anybody that did psychic training because they want to be spiritual. In fact, if you go into Patanjali's teachings, which go back about 200 years after the death of Christ, you'll notice that Patanjali says that you should never go for psychic training if you want to be spiritual, because psychic training is actually ego-centered. Now, his method is to become a spiritual, so you focus on spiritual ideals, and then you live by spiritual values. But those who want psychic training want to have something that can be done with it, which is ego-minded. Okay, for example, mercenary Mikey Chanas, my old friend from back there in the 70s, wanted to have the psychic skills training so that he could go out and literally win on the battlefield. When he was in Cambodia illegally with the Special Forces unit he was with, he actually got shot and wounded twice. He was left for dead. He was the only one that survived. He had an AK-47 shell that went up the bottom of his foot and lodged in his knee. He was considered 100% disabled, but using hypnosis and Huna breathing techniques and psychic skills training, he completely rehabilitated himself 100%. Now, there is a problem with using psychic skills training for becoming a mercenary, is that you might actually build in so much confidence that you think that you're Superman and you're invincible. And so poor Mikey Chanas had the Superman complex, and he isn't bulletproof. And when that plane blew up at 2,000 feet, he either died in the blow up or he died when it hit the ground. My point is the psychic skills training will not make you invulnerable. Now, on another hand, is Colonel John Alexander was a mercenary also, and he was a trainer of hardcore mercenaries, and he was in charge of a Special Forces A team and a commander in both Thailand and Vietnam. And when Colonel John Alexander uses psychic skills training, which is some of the mind-bridging techniques that we use and some of the deep relaxation techniques that we use and some of the thought form types of things that we use, he used it so he could beat other people in combat. That's what it was for, is how we as warriors could win against other warriors. Now, there is something called executive ESP training. Now, a lot of people don't know it, but back there in 1968, there was actually some fantastic studies with psychic ESP training for executives. And they found out that most executives that use their gut feelings or their hunches had a high level of ESP. And that when they thought about other people, the other people would pick up the thoughts on a subconscious level. When other people thought about them, they would also pick up those feelings on a subconscious level. So when they made a decision, they would get all the information they had coming to them, and then they would go into their place of silence, whether it was just a defocusing technique or a deep breath. Then they would access their body feelings and know if it was a good decision or a bad decision. If it was a bad decision, they would ask themselves a question, well, what should I be doing instead? And they would get an answer, and then they'd go do what I should be doing instead and find out over their advice of everybody else that was working for them, they were right, and they always won out. Now, another thing is people that were into speed seduction. Now, the Ross Jeffries people, in fact, Ross Jeffries came to me back there about 1996, and he goes, hey, Doc, I want to hire you as a teacher so you can go out and teach my people how to use ESP skills to use it for romance, for finding somebody and to convert them on an inner level of that you're a good person and it might be fun and let's go out and have fun. So it wasn't about going out and being godly. It was going out and having sex. Sex is one of the most powerful drives in the human of the human race, and speed seduction people love the ESP training because they can install in on their own bodies certain levels of self-confidence and self-esteem. They could learn in their own level what the other person was thinking by putting on their head, so they can go inside their head and say, just say, well, I like John LaTourette if they're looking at me, and then they'll go bad feeling, good feeling, and then they go, well, what would I have to do so they would like me? And they would know because they would be seeing it from their point of view. So there's a whole bunch of things that you use in speed seduction, and I've just barely touched the topic here. But the thing is I'm after the warrior training skills here, and speed seduction is damage at that. Putting it bluntly, is that when people do warrior psychic skill training, they're doing it to put the advantage in your hands about the results you get. So it's not up to somebody else whether you get hired. It's not up to somebody else if you get laid. It's not to somebody else if you make $1 million. It's all based upon you and how you can actually control and manifest your own future to get what you want from your deep core desires, not anybody else. Which is giving us a real important point here. When you do have a core desire and you do want to get something, keep your mouth shut about it. What you do is you'll use the skills, you'll go to level, you'll install what you want into other people and into yourself, and then you'll get it. And it will be an unconscious installation as far as everybody else is concerned, and they won't know that you can do it. The worst thing you can do is go out and say, yes, I installed this in you and you did it. Ha, 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 ha. You have just alienated somebody for life, and they will hate you and fear you forever. I still remember when I started learning this stuff, and I thought I was doing it with very, very good ethics. And one day, my wife and my sister were talking together, and they were talking about how I used to be so mean and angry, and we used to fight all the time. And then my sister goes, you know, ever since John's been doing that psychic skills training, now this is, like 35 years ago, he's been really so nice. And then they looked at each other, and their eyes got wide, and then my wife says, you've been using that shit on me, haven't you? And I went, don't have a clue what you're talking about. But my point is if they know, they will treat you differently. They're going to start looking at you as if you're manipulating with everything you do. Now, when you smile at somebody, that's a manipulation, because a smile turns on your radiant circuits. Your radiant circuits literally leap across space, just like bam, like that, and they can feel it in their radiant circuits. So any type of smile is manipulation. Any type of anger will affect their energy fields. Any type of feelings that you have will affect somebody else that you're in contact with. Now, in contact with is a real cool thing. They found out when they were doing their executive ESP trainings that even if someone didn't believe that psychic skills training would work or not work, if they attached a blood pressure monitor to their finger and they took names of 5 people they were really cared about, and then they put those 5 names in with another 100 names, and then they went into another room and mentioned the name, the only names that would affect their blood pressure. Of course, they were out of their hearing. They're in a different part of the building. There's no way these people with the blood pressure monitor could notice it. But only when they mentioned those 5 names did the blood pressure monitor go off. So on a subconscious, intuitive level, you always know when someone that you care about is thinking about you in a good way or thinking about you in a bad way. I know that I was in Phoenix, Arizona on a trip with my family one time. And I went, damn, something's going on. My wife says, what's wrong? I said, I don't know, but somebody's hunting me. They're literally hunting me. And so I put my 38 behind my back, and I went around my 38 behind my back. Well, we drove back to Colorado Springs, and because it went and it came, and it went and it came. And I started noticing again in Colorado Springs. And one day this guy pounds on my door, and I go, yes, how can I help you? He goes, are you John LaTourette? And I said, no, I'm not. He's supposed to be home in about 3 or 4 hours, though. And I turned around and I drove away. Well, the guy was looking for John LaTourette so he could get him to be a witness in a certain trial. And I didn't want any part of the trial, so I was glad that I knew it and knew in advance. And so it puts the advantage in your hand by having this intuition and this warrior psychic skills training. Now, psychic skills for the competitive edge. Now, what happens is the competitive edge has a couple of presuppositions in there. It means that you want to win. Doesn't mean who plays the game is the whole thing and doesn't matter who wins. No. When you do it for the competitive edge, you're looking for something that will give you an advantage over them. Okay, for example, if you're sparring somebody and you unzip their central meridian downward to their pubic bone. It will lower their vital force, and they can't respond instantly when you attack. So you got that split second, up to about a second and a half to 3 seconds, depending on how strong their energy field is, that you can attack them, and their defenses are totally lowered. Now, sometimes just giving them a smile will do the same thing. But when you use your radiant circuits, like let's say that you are fighting them and you have your left hand out, excuse me there, and what you do is you move your left hand down there with the palm down their center line, and you're like 5 or 6 feet away. It's fine, and it'll weaken them. And when his left hand goes down, then the right hand goes right into that same place and hits them. Pow, 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 pow. Now you can also install negative emotions there. In other words, you can set up a thought ball, and you can install it, and then what you do is you anchor first the time that you really beat somebody else, and you just literally dominated them in the sparring arena. And so you're very, 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 very confident of your own skills. And when you have this confidence in your own skills, it exudes from your auric field, and it affects anything within 30 feet. And so when you unzip them and throw that energy, that type of thought into their field, it makes them weak, because now you're much more powerful than they can even imagine. Okay, now psychic skills for the competitive edge is also for yourself. You get what you expect. And if you have something that's wrong with you and you're using the easy energy method, as far as I have an attitude that everything is half empty, and I always expect the worst, and I'm always believing in Murphy's Law, these people are always willing to come in second place or third place or fourth place. Okay, they think that just because they competed, they should be able to get some sort of recognition. Well, yeah, maybe, but there's only one first place, and the difference between a horse that wins first place and a horse that wins second place is about an inch, but the amount of money that the first place wins is about 50 times as much as what the second place wins. And if you expect that you can win, and that's an attitude, and you tap that into your energy field, and then you model an expert that has the tactics to win, and then you get those things so they're basically on a deep conscious, subconscious level, and you practice so it's automatic response, and then you install your capabilities of winning in your energy field, and then you go out and do it, you will get what you expect. It's that simple. Okay, and this gets into disbelief as a self-fulfilling prophecy. Anybody that says, I'm going to try, is actually telling you that they're going to fail, and they're letting you know in advance. Now, in the school systems, they say, well, at least try. Well, that's cool, but it's like Yoda said, there is no try, there's only do. And I know it's superficial, it's out of a movie. Again, it comes from deep-level psychological things. You're going to get it done. Now, sometimes, just like Milton H. Erickson said, he was asked if he'd ever failed to hypnotize anybody, and if you don't know who Milton is, he was the foremost medical hypnosis person in the world. He was also a medical doctor, and it was because of him that hypnosis got accepted into the medical field in 1957. Before then, anybody that used hypnosis was considered a quack, sort of like anybody that uses energy psychology now is considered a quack, or anybody that uses any type of manipulation of the psychic forces or the energy fields is considered a quack. But Milton could actually hypnotize people just with his gestures. And so I'm getting to the point here is that when you expect you can win, you will win. When you expect you can do X, you will do it. And usually getting a positive expectation means you have to want it enough to do whatever it takes to get it. So believing is a self-fulfilling prophecy also. Now, for powers to trumpet, you have to have the competitive edge. Now, the competitive edge is like the machine gun in World War I. Most people didn't have the machine gun, but those who had the machine gun were able, one guy with a guy that could load could take on a whole company and waste them because they had the competitive edge. They had higher level of technology. When they made the tank, it was the same thing. You get this doggone Sherman tank, it could go over buildings. It didn't matter who was shooting them, they didn't have anything to stop them. It's the same thing like the airplane. Before they had the airplane, they didn't have the capabilities for getting the communications like they wanted to have it. And so as soon as they got the communications, they got the high sightseeing, they got the bomb flying down, they have a lot faster speed, tactics, and training, and they were able to manipulate the enemy any way that they chose. And that's what psychic skills gives you. It gives you a competitive edge on anyone else you train with, but only if you keep it a secret. Okay? And something else, and we've already gone over this a little bit, but psychic skills has nothing to do with the spiritual, and I call it hocus pocus. The reason I call it hocus pocus is because a lot of people that are into, say, the Hindu arts, and they only have a very, very superficial knowledge of what the Hindu arts do and what yoga is about, and what Hatha yoga is about, and about Kriya yoga is about. When you get into the Hatha yoga, and they're doing a positioning of their body, and they're doing it for a spiritual reason, it's wrong. It doesn't work for a spiritual reason. It works for physical control of the body. You need a lot more than that. And so if you want to do something for the spiritual reason, I would suggest you either do the study of the Edgar Cayce readings and get into a group that goes over those, that with people that know what they're doing, or study Kriya yoga from someone that's really, really deep into that structure. And they will not teach you how to do psychic skills, because they believe that psychic skills interferes with the growth of spirituality, because it uses what we call ego-minded bases. And by the way, yeah, it does use ego-minded bases, and I feel that's okay, because I feel that it's okay to win. I feel it's okay to program your mind so you get what you expect. I feel it's okay to program your mind in a positive way so you get a self-fulfilling prophecy and you can triumph. I feel it's okay if you're fighting the bad guy to have a superior weapon so that you're safe and that he gets defeated as he should be because he's doing something evil. And that's how I feel about it. Now, most people out there don't want you to be all you can be, especially with psychic skills training. Just like a lot of people, especially psychologists, they believe that if you actually believe that you can do psychic skills and you have the power of telepathy, even though telepathy has been written about back up to 6,000 years ago in China, and also in Egypt, and also in India, and it's been proven in the United States for the last 150 years, verified time and time and time and time and time again, literally thousands of times. They feel it's not functional and it can't work. And if it does work, then you're being invasive. That means you're using it on somebody without your permissions, and in a sense you're using it without their permission. You're an evil bastard. Well, the thing is when you're using something like, say, your radiant circuits, and there's basically 8 radiant circuits, and if you're using those like, say, a front bridge flow, and you're talking to somebody and you really care about it, well, you're radiating energy out in front of you in a figure-8 pattern that connects up to the people that you're talking to. And you're doing it whether you want to do it or not, because the energies of the human body are there for a purpose, whether we have the knowledge of them being there for a person or not. And it's just like energy is always an inside job, and your energies are always working on other people. And when somebody is resistant to you, their resistant energies interact with your energies, and you can actually hear the voices inside of your head about, I don't know if I trust this person, or, oh, wow, I think this is a really, really nice person. And so it's just like the art of wealth. If you want to make a lot of money, you basically can't think poverty thinking. You have to go and interrelate with those who have the energies of, yeah, making money is easy. Actually, making money is fun. And you go with someone like Donald Trump. Now, there's something else about vulnerability and invulnerability. They fear being vulnerable. They feel that if you actually have skills that are psychic, they're vulnerable and they can't stop you, and then that sends them into a triple warmer, which is a fear, fight, or flight response, which basically means that they're going to have their barriers up every time they think about you and every time they're around you. I had someone that heard that I could do, I call it curandero, which is healing arts, and they thought a curandero was like a brujo, which is a witch, and they thought witches are evil, and they're a Catholic. And so as soon as they found out that I actually have a lot of training in this, and I'm very successful when I help other people, they started hating me. Which brings us to religions, doesn't it? Now, what happens is there's so many cases of people being healed with psychic skills in the Bible, and being healed by psychic skills in the Huna religion, and being healed by psychic skills in all religions all over the world. But it's only, it seems like, in the primary Christian religion that they've tended to take any type of healing arts away from anybody except for the preacher. Now, the preacher can do it because he's supposed to be a spokesperson for God, and so they also try to take that type of training away from you so you cannot be in contact with the infinite mind. You actually have to go through them. And when you use your psychic skills training properly, when you have your conscious thought and you connect up with your subconscious beliefs and your subconscious values and your subconscious identity, and then you use an intention to access the universe of all ideals, you'll find out that you're getting into what Plato called in his cave series the art of communicating with the divine. And you have to actually have the conscious mind and the subconscious mind hooked up together to give you communication tool to connect positively with the 0-point energy field of intelligence, which is now called the God or whatever else you want to call it, but it's not the same ones that most people in religions try to teach you and force feed you into believing, I am the intercessory. No, it's you. You can learn how to do it. You can learn how to go to level. You can learn how to communicate. You can learn how to do what comes from inside and bring it outside. Now, a lot of people, like the government, feel that psychic skills are evil. And I'm just going to give you an example here. There's this thing called the Joe cell, and the Joe cell is a slave unit that has water in it that hooks up to the gasoline motor in such a way that it exponentiates the gas. So instead of getting, say, 10 miles to a gallon of gas, you can get a whole lot more. Now, there's this one gentleman back in 1985 that put a Joe cell, a slave unit, to his gas, and he drove his dune buggy, his Volkswagen dune buggy, all the way from L.A. to New York City and back again on 28 gallons of gas and water. Okay? And that's fantastic. And thing is there's a lot of I guess it's collusion between the big businesses and the oil companies in certain aspects of the people that control the other people in this country, and they don't want people to get to have 150 miles a gallon on a gallon of water. They want you to buy the oil. They want you to buy the gas. And so big business and commercial business will keep you from having certain types of information let available to you. And it's pretty well documented, literally for about 120 years now. My point is, it's the same thing with psychic skills training. Psychic skills training has been proven time and time again. And there, but then again, the world's been proven flat for a long time too, and there's still about 37% of the population, according to Bill Maher, that believes that the planet Earth is flat. And so if they believe the Earth is flat, they probably don't believe in psychic skills training, and they don't believe that if you do use them, you're going to use them right, you're going to use them evilly, so you must be an agent of the devil. And then getting to the thing about the psychologists, they have they don't want you to harm another, and they basically say if you yell at somebody else, you're harming them, and so you're considered a verbal assault. So, who's defining the terms here? Does that make sense? So let's go on. For the tagger to become a better tagger. Again, that is what this is all about. This is not for the sick. It's not for the fearful. And if someone feels that those who attempt to learn psychic skills training are sick, don't tell them. If someone fears that it is valid, but it's going to be used against them, then don't tell them either. Just smile at them, pace, build rapport, and just go on your way and do whatever you need to do, because you have the new art and science of getting what you want through psychic skills training. It's that simple. Now, the WIMP approach. I didn't want to cover this, but since this is almost all of the population's viewpoint about psychic skills training, I thought I had to go over it. WIMPs are scared people. They're scared because they're taught to be scared. They usually haven't had anything done wrong with them, but I'm going to go over a couple of that. One, they fear a fear of doing harm to another. I've actually trained people in psychic skills training and go, well, I'm afraid to use this because if I use this and I accidentally hurt somebody, then I'd go to hell. And I'm going, well, you're using it anyhow. You know, if you're around somebody and you're thinking about liver and you hate liver, you're affecting their energy field in a negative way, and you're installing bad vibes into them. And that's the reason we have to figure out about the half cup full and the half cup empty concept, because one's pessimistic thinking and the other's positive thinking. So you're going to be doing people harm anyhow. So what you can do is you can reverse this and you can tap into your energy field with the easy energy method, positive energies of whatever you want to do. Okay, and we've covered this on another DVD and another CD with the Easy Energy Method 28 DVD and 28 audio course, and so refer to it there. Now, a lot of times the wimps always have to consult with somebody else about whether it's right or wrong. They have to consult with their physician. I'm thinking about doing positive thinking because I think I have cancer and I'm dying. And the doctor always has to tell him the worst that can happen because he's bound by law to do it. Now, it's very rare that you get somebody like Deepak Chopra that actually tells you about this is the possibilities. These are how the ones that have healed themselves have done it. Now, some people say if you do this, you might die. Well, that's true, but if you do this, you will live and you have a greater chance. So if you're going to have to talk with a physician, find one that has a positive attitude plus a lot of knowledge. I need to consult with an attorney because I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and they say it's evil. Well, that's almost like consulting with a Catholic priest and you're a Huna person. If you're a Huna person, every Catholic priest says you're going to hell. And they believe it's the dark side. Now, what's really cool about Huna is they don't believe in a hell like those in Christianity or Catholicism do. They actually believe that we come back time after time again and we make lessons of learning as we go through. Now, they have a whole bunch of horrible beliefs, too. They believe that women shouldn't eat bananas because it reminds them of a penis. And that just talks about superstition because everybody has superstition. So it's your job to figure out where you want to go and what you want to do. And keep it secret from everybody else because there's always going to be somebody that's going to badmouth you. We have a man that just badmouthed us. We went down to our new location today, and the city inspector was there. Now, someone had informed him, our renter, who we're evicting, by the way, had informed him that we're doing illegal construction over there, and which is total bullshit because, we didn't do anything with electrical. We didn't do anything with the water. But he just wanted to get revenge on us because we're booting him because I didn't buy the building to, let him stay there and use it for storage. I bought the building for my businesses. So we gave him an eviction notice, and he's trying to get back. And so we have this man there from the city that's trying to find fault with what we're doing. And, our man Frank just said, hey, sure, come on, let me show you what we've done. And then he explained to him where we took out the wall. It's not a bearing wall. And then he said, now we came in here and we painted right here, and the walls were messed up here, so we spackled mud right here. And then he said, the guy goes, I want to see the toilets. And the guy goes, well, cool, they're back here. And the guy says, well, you haven't done anything here. Well, that's right, because the toilets are fine. My point is, they fear that what you're doing is the dark side, so they start lying about you. And then this inspector went out and he saw the conduit on the floor. Now what happens is he then looked up and saw the conduit on the ceiling, and it had red curtains hanging from it. So we weren't using the conduit for electricity. We were using the conduit to section off the room so we could give private lessons to our martial arts students. And if we're doing energy or massage or some sort of healing, so we could have privacy when we do it so people wouldn't have other people interfering with them. But they will lie to you because they want you to be bad. Now, they also try to install that that you're going where you don't belong. Well, who set the rules for where you belong, okay? Back then, when the guy ran the 4-minute mile, it was supposed to be impossible. In fact, they said it was physically impossible for anybody to run the 4-minute mile, and if they did, the flesh would fall from your bones. Well, he ran the 4-minute mile, and they went, huh? Guess what? In a year time, 38 people had ran the 4-minute mile because they didn't listen to the ones that said they couldn't. They looked at the one who did. Now, the one who did, he had the imagination to go where other people hadn't gone before, just like in Star Trek. Now, keep away from the lay people. A lot of psychologists say that we can use this, and we'll keep some of these skills for people that have medical credentials or for people that are religious preachers, because they have ethics and they'll use it right, and everybody else is going to use it wrong. Well, the thing is prayer. A lot of people use prayer wrong. Okay, why do they use prayer wrong? Because they use it to harm somebody. It's just like somebody go, well, I hope my daughter doesn't die, and so that's using negative hypnotic programming to install something in somebody else at a distance because you don't have the competency to talk proper with your subconscious mind and give it directions right. So you're sending out the wrong energies to other because you are fearful, and you're saying words in such a way that depicts that the cup is half empty. So those people will use it wrong. So when you teach them how to do psychic skills training and proper linguistics and how to do the remote viewing and the remote influence, they will use it at least with choice. And using it with choice is one of the most important things there is. And I think that's about it for right now. Thank you very much.